Imagine a little human fetus in the womb of its mother, and imagine the conditions. It's nice and warm. All the needs are being met. Nutrition and hydration and oxygenated blood through the placenta. All the needs are being met. It's nice and cozy warm in there. There's ocean sounds. And eventually, after the development of this fetus into a little human baby, there will then be exiting of the womb. Whether that happens through a natural birth or a C-section, either way, there will be the exiting of the womb. And when that happens, the instant that it happens, there's going to now be a need for a new way of getting oxygen. The first breath will need to happen. And so I playfully say that that is the moment that a part of human consciousness that I call the wanter comes into service for us to try to get that need met. There's going to be a new need that arrives that wasn't occurring before. In the womb, that was automatically happening. The oxygen was happening already through the oxygenated blood in the placenta. Now there's going to be a need for oxygen in a new way. There's going to have to be that first breath. So this aspect of human consciousness that I call the wanter arrives to get that need met. And so then the first breath happens. And then from that point on, the wanter will have to try to ensure that there will continue to be oxygen. If we're underwater for some amount of time, there'll come a point where the wanter will start rising up and saying, okay, that's long enough. Get back up above the surface. We need some oxygen. Or if we're, in some sort of situation where we're not getting oxygen, the wanter will do whatever it takes to try to get that oxygen. Now, after that need is met, let's say oxygen is now happening. The next need that's going to happen for this human infant is the need for warmth, because the human baby will be cold. It's not well suited for the environment. The human baby isn't born with a coat of fur to naturally insulate it and keep it warm. So it's going to need a blanket. So the wanter will need to call out for help. Wah, wah, wah. There's no language yet. So what does the wanter do when it needs help? It cries out for help. Wah, wah. So that will be a signal to the other humans, I need help. So then let's say a blanket happens. Then the wanter will temporarily rest because the warmth is now being met. But let's say that blanket is removed for some reason. The wanter will rise up again. Wah, wah, I'm cold, I'm cold. So every time the body gets cold, the wanter is going to need to rise up and try to fix that situation, solve that problem. Let's say the body gets too hot. The wanter will rise up and try to adjust that, try to find a cooler temperature. So the wanter has to want warmth every time we get cold. It can't just want warmth once. It has to want warmth every time we get cold. So the nature of this wanter, that this human expression aspect that I call the wanter, is that it has to want oxygen every time. It has to want warmth every time we get cold, or want a cooler temperature every time we get hot. Now, the next two primal needs are nourishment and hydration. Well, luckily, through breastfeeding, the human infant can get both of those needs met. Both nourishment and hydration can be met through breast milk. So every time the infant gets hungry or thirsty, wah, wah. So that's a signal. I need help. So then let's say the breastfeeding happens. The wanter temporarily rests. So the nature of this aspect of human consciousness is there for us for survival, to make sure we have oxygen, the right temperature, nourishment, and hydration. And every time any one of those four things is needed, the wanter will cry out, will develop some sort of strategy to try to get those needs met. And then when the needs are met, it will temporarily rest. But it will need to rise up again and then get those needs met, and then it will temporarily rest. And it will need to rise up again and again. So the nature of this aspect of human consciousness that I call the wanter is to want, use a strategy to try to get that met, and then to want, use a strategy to try to get that need met, and want. Now, when it temporarily rests, that's what the wanter calls happiness. When all the needs are met, the wanter would say, oh, I'm so happy. It isn't really happiness. It's just that the wanter has temporarily stopped wanting. So as the life continues and the human infant starts to develop and becomes a toddler, and there's now language and there's going off to preschool and all the things that are happening, the wanter will still be in play, and it'll extend itself beyond the 4 primary needs: oxygen, right temperature, nutrition, and hydration. Imagine a little young toddler at the preschool, and the little boy or girl sees a toy across the room that they want. Their wanter will rise up and say, I want that toy. And maybe the teacher says, well, no, you can't have that toy. You don't understand. It's life or death. I have to have that toy. Life or death. Their wanter will do whatever it takes to get that toy. So let's say that strategy worked and they got the toy, then their wanter would say, oh, I'm so happy. Now, if this were true happiness, all they're ever going to need is that one toy. But it's not really happiness. It's just that the wanter has temporarily stopped wanting. Because as soon as they look around and see that somebody else on the other side of the room has an even cooler toy, the wanter will now shift, because the nature of the wanter is to want. It will see that even cooler toy. No, not this toy. I want that toy. That toy. It's life or death. I have to have that toy. Some sort of strategy. If that works, they get the toy. Oh, I'm so happy. No, it's not happiness. It's just that the wanter has temporarily stopped wanting. Because the wanter will then want again and again and again. The wanter will now be walking through the neighborhood and see that somebody's riding a bicycle. I want a bicycle. It's life or death. Strategy, strategy, strategy. Let's say they get the bike. For a little bit, they'll be happy. They'll ride on their bike and they'll be so happy that they've got their bike and they're riding their bike. But as soon as their wanter sees that somebody has an even cooler bike with special handlebars and a banana seat, I want the special handlebars and the banana seat. Strategy, strategy, strategy to try to get that met. Let's say they get the special handlebars and the banana seat. They'll be, what they'll call happy temporarily. But as soon as the next one comes online, the wanter will want again. Now, instead of the bike, they'll want the car. And I want a fancier car, a nicer car. I want 2 cars. I want 3 cars. I want a house. I want the right money. I want the right relationship. I want the attention. I want the love. I want the money. I want the right weather. This wanter aspect of human consciousness, its nature will always be to want more. It's insatiable. It can't ever reach a true state of contentment, because this aspect of us, by its very nature, it has to keep wanting. So a lot of our human interactions are coming from this aspect of human consciousness, where we're always wanting the next thing, with the idea that if I get that, then I'll be happy. If I get that, then I'll be content. If I get that, then I'll be safe. If I get that, then I'll be secure. If I get that, then I'll be fulfilled. So this plays out a lot in our human interactions with other people and with the living of life. Now, if we're ruled by our wanter, we're always going to just be searching for the next thing, with the idea that that will bring whatever it is that we're looking for. If it's happiness, contentment, fulfillment, safety, security, the wanter will always need more. It's insatiable. So this plays itself out in our journey. And what each person's wanter does is starts developing sort of a strategy, kind of a system of the way to get what we want, the way to manipulate and control and get what we want. And I call that aspect of the wanter the solution. Everybody's wanter creates the solution, kind of comes up with the solution to how to navigate life and get what you want, with the idea that that will bring you fulfillment. Now, each person has their own unique the solution based on whatever trial and error methods seem to work to manage this place. So everybody has a different the solution. And so this is why when other people annoy us, the reason they're annoying us is they're not doing it per the solution that our wanter has created. And the reason they're not doing it per our the solution is because they have their own unique the solution. So they're not doing it right. Whenever anybody annoys us, the reason they're annoying us is because they're not doing it per our the solution. And the reason they're not doing it per our the solution is because they have their own unique the solution. And everybody's wanter thinks their solution is the solution. Notice how I don't call it a solution. It's not optional. It's the solution. So this is why other people annoy us. So if you reflect for a moment and notice, everyone you've ever known, there's been at least one thing that they did that annoyed you. Even if it was just a mild annoyance. There's something that they did that annoyed you. And the reason it annoyed you is because they're not doing it per your the solution. Everyone you've ever known, notice, they will have at least once annoyed you, and usually way more than just mild annoyance. And so our wanter starts creating a grievance list against all the people that we've interacted with. So the people you've known longest have the longest grievance list. Your wanter, the ones your wanter has known longer, so our core family members, has the longest grievance list. Anybody we just met, they might only have one or two grievances on our wanter's grievance list where they didn't do it per our the solution. And this is where grudges come from and resentment and all that, because they're not doing it right. They're not doing it per the solution. So now what we start to notice is everyone we've ever known, this dynamic is playing out within our wanter. Our wanter has a grievance list on everybody, is at least mildly annoyed at everyone. Now, the other thing to realize is that means everyone that has known us, they have a grievance list on us. So everyone you've ever known, you have at least once mildly annoyed them, probably way more than that. Because there's no way you could exactly do it per their the solution, because you don't have their the solution. You have your wanter's the solution. So no matter how much we try to read people and morph ourselves just right to get them to like us, it turns out they don't actually unconditionally love us from their wanter. The wanter isn't capable of unconditional love. The wanter does a version of love, but it has conditions. It will give what it calls love as long as the person is compliant and is how the wanter wants them to be. So the wanter can't love unconditionally. The wanter can't even like unconditionally. It's not possible. All of our wanters will always have conditions. This is why when people start to annoy us, we will remove our love. It's not the real love. We will remove our like, because the wanter can't do real love, can't do real like. But the great good news in this is a part of our human expression. It's not the enemy. The wanter is not the enemy. It's very much there to help us survive, to make things better for us. The wanter, that's its whole function. So it's not the enemy. We don't want to in any way, vilify the wanter. It's there to help us. It just simply is trying to make things better for us. Now, each of our wanters is very selfish by its very nature. It has to be selfish. It only cares about us. Everybody's wanter only cares about its own self. Our wanter doesn't care about other people. So the wanter can be very selfish, very manipulative, very controlling, can be mean, hurtful, because the wanter doesn't care about how it affects other people. Our wanter only cares about how to make it better for us. As an example, let's say you're getting ready to go on a trip, and you're going to go up on the highway, and you go up the on-ramp, and as you're about to pull into the highway, it's bumper-to-bumper traffic. It's very likely that your wanter will be upset about that, because the wanter would want there to be not traffic for you, of course. But notice, in that moment, your wanter isn't upset that there's traffic for everybody else. Your wanter's only upset that there's traffic for you. So our wanter only cares about us. So any moment where we've been selfish or unkind or uncaring or mean or manipulative or controlling, that's a moment where we've been trapped by our wanter. We're just interacting with them from our wanter. And what this reveals to us is anytime anybody else has ever been unkind to us, if they've been controlling, manipulative, unkind, not loving, it's because they are in their wanter. So once we start to realize this, we can start to see the human dynamic that plays out, because most human interactions, we do tend to get pulled into our wanter. Because remember, especially the more stressful the situation, the more likely we are to get pulled into our wanter, because our wanter's job is to make it better for us. Our wanter doesn't care about anybody else. Our wanter only cares about us. So if we're in our wanter, we're going to do selfish things. And once again, it's not the enemy. It's not wrong or bad that happens. It's needed for survival, the primary needs. But the wanter will extend beyond the 4 primary needs and start trying to manipulate and control the rest of it. And this plays itself out. Now, the wonderful good news is to realize, once we start to notice this, the wanter isn't all that we are. That's part of our human expression. What we also ultimately are, is our spirit, our essence, and our true self. That eternal essence isn't a physical thing. That's why we use words like spirit or soul or essence or awareness or presence. That aspect of our being is real. It's not a physical thing, and it's inherently kind and compassionate and caring and understanding and patient. That is our true nature, and there's also our wanter. So this whole world that we're all experiencing together is a very dynamic play of whether we're in our wanter or in our true nature. And so the spiritual journey is about realizing this, about untangling from the tendency to be interacting with others from our wanter and be more likely to then find natural ways to rest into our true nature and interact from there, which is inherently wise, inherently compassionate, inherently loving, inherently patient, inherently capable of navigating life from a very wise perspective. And this is the dynamic play that we're all experiencing together. And what I playfully call the wanter and true nature, it isn't like an on-off switch. It's not, binary like that. It's more like on a continuum. We're either way in our wanter or more in true nature. It's sort of like on a continuum. If we're all the way in our wanter, then we're going to just be completely selfish, mean, controlling, uncaring, not caring about others. And if we're all the way in true nature, we're going to be inherently loving, kind, patient, understanding, wise, capable, not a doormat, able to speak up, able to say no to things, able to navigate life in a very balanced and natural way. And it's on a continuum. So we might be like partly in our wanter in certain moments and more in true nature in certain moments. So there's lots of ancient practices that give us a chance to untangle from the tendency to get pulled into our wanter and be more likely to open up and experience from our true nature. This is the lovely possibility of this reality that we're all experiencing together, this dynamic play of these aspects within us of the wanter and our true nature.